Y'all ready for this? Because we are. We are back in studio. San Diego, California, from the iHeartMedia and Entertainment Studios here, Southern California, Garden America, back on the air. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. I'm Brian Main. John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. How are you? Did you have a good week? We're kicking off the weekend here, Tiger, and should be an interesting show today. No guest, but you brought some props in.
Yeah, I brought some
props,
plants, props, everything. Figured a little bit of our going on our tropical theme. Shishito peppers.
Shishito
I've been talking
peppers?
about those a while, and I brought in some of my harvest, and things have been going good. So when you harvest shishito peppers and cook them up, you kind of do maybe 15, 20 peppers at a time, and then you just kind of eat them, right? So I've got like 4 or 5 harvests off of these already. 2 plants. They just keep going and going and
It's
going.
a good year.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
What's old Smiley laughing at next to you?
No, that he got his phone to work?
Yeah,
all by himself?
I can't get it to work. Maybe you can do it for me. I was just thinking.
You were so proud of yourself before we went on the air that you had everything in order.
I know. I'm not sure what happened.
We hope you had a good week. We are back again. No guest today, but we're going to continue, as Tiger said, the theme of tropicals here in studio on Garden America. So questions, comments for Facebookers on the comments section. We welcome that. We always welcome that, don't we, John?
Thank you, Tiger.
John's ready to go now.
I am. Yeah.
Cheer up.
I have something I want to say, but I'm not going to say it. I'll say it to you during the break.
Oh, it's one of those during the break. So for those of you watching on Facebook, if you can lip read, we invite you to stay tuned for the break and see if you can figure out what John will be talking about.
Yeah.
Or telling us.
We were talking prior to the break. I was asking you if you saw the newsletter and you saw the picture of Tanya's bromeliad collection.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah, and Lisa from Reading was just asking Tanya, are those really your bromeliads?
Yeah.
Because that was an awesome collection.
It's interesting.
Those are goals for me. I want a bromeliad.
With all the people that watch the show, listen to the show, and then you see something like that, you're like, whoa, yeah. I'm really impressed with you now. Always liked you as a viewer and a listener, but now I'm really impressed.
Speaking of impressed, I've told you guys many times that if I had a son, because I've got
2 of them.
2 of them. But the tiger is just the kind of person you would want for your son. And the only reason
this one here?
Yeah. But the only reason I mention that is because Carla says it's good to hear our voices, but she goes, I always hand my phone off to my kids too, John.
Yeah, exactly. Fix this.
That's funny.
Oh, that's good.
So you brought in a bunch of plumerias.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm jealous.
Because these are from you.
Well, yeah, those 2 are.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the variegated leaf ones is that even if they're not blooming, you've got something to look at. But you all those flowers are from your yard too, right?
Yeah. So, I've got about, something around 10 plumerias now. And, so about 5 varieties of them are in bloom at the moment. We're still waiting for a few of the other ones to bloom.
Was your Lord Byron?
Yep.
One that you brought blooms of?
Yep, right here.
Look at the size of that.
Yeah, let me, I'll hold up. Just compare it to, like a normal plumeria here. The flower size.
Okay, my plumeria looks like the one on the left. Mine are blooming, and they look like the one on the left there.
This one here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
that's his right hand.
Yeah.
But my left.
But,
okay.
There's all kinds of fun stuff.
And the left of people watching on the Facebook Live.
And that's the fun thing about the plumerias is that the colors, the variations, the size, and they bloom a lot as far as time frame. I mean, some of these ones started a month ago, and they're just continuing to set flowers and will continue all the way through into the fall.
Yeah, my plumeria, there's no way I could bring it into the studio.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. Doing well this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year was mediocre.
Wasn't that a really cool rainy summer last year?
Yeah.
And this year we've been a little bit more heat.
Less rain, more heat, I think.
So. Well, Carol from Tucson says that She says, "Good morning from a wet and green Tucson."
Yeah, they get their monsoon season.
Yeah, huh? Wet and green Tucson.
Yeah.
They get those monsoons through the summer and
Even up in Flagstaff, as far north.
oh yeah, for sure.
In summertime, once a day, twice a day, monsoon moves in, then it clears up.
Now, in the Flagstaff area, does it stay humid though? Because I know the nice thing about the Tucson area is it gets humid during the rain, but then it's like
I don't remember
hot and
much
dry.
humidity. Yeah, hot summer, but not as much humidity as down south.
Okay.
Tucson, Phoenix,
Okay.
those here. And
But
even
the
then,
hot summers
it's a bit
weren't
dry.
that hot, were they?
What's that?
The hot summers
In
weren't that hot,
Flagstaff?
were they?
In Flagstaff?
Yeah,
It
like
got-
you weren't 100, were you?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
85, 90,
Yeah,
which is nice.
it's like
Yeah.
Fallbrook.
But even so, even down south in Arizona, I guess to some degree there's some humidity, but for the most part it's dry.
dry.
It's a dry desert heat.
Yeah.
115, 120.
So that nice monsoon weather is a nice little break from it sometimes.
It's
Changes
a
it up.
warm rain.
Yeah.
Tiger, Carla wants to know if it's too late to give her plumerias one more feeding.
No, we still got plenty of time as far as like the growth period. Carla's,
Huntington Beach.
oh yeah, because I mean, really the thing with plumerias you got to worry about is for us now is frost, which in Huntington Beach doesn't exist.
Right.
and
Right.
And so, you wouldn't want to be pushing out a lot of growth in December, January, February. But I highly recommend it because they respond well. And John will attest to this because he had plumerias for the longest time, never fed them or anything, and then
Right.
started feeding them, and they started growing like crazy, and they respond well to a fertilizer. So I do highly recommend continue fertilizing, and they aren't like camellias where even if you fertilize during the bloom, it'll push off the bloom.
Right.
They'll just keep growing and keep blooming, even if you're fertilizing during that period of time. So, I fertilized.
Well,
what?
when camellias are blooming, they're dormant.
Oh yeah.
So you don't want to feed them when they're dormant. And with plumeria, when they're dormant, they have no leaves. So,
Yeah.
so it's easy to tell. You
Yeah.
don't want to feed them when they have no leaves.
Right. So, I mean, I fertilized with a like liquid all-purpose organic fertilizer about a week ago, and I'll probably do another feeding here in sometime in September again, because I'm trying to really get some of mine to really grow right now. They're finally established, and I'm trying to encourage a lot more growth on them. And then I can't wait to get some of these other ones in the ground. I'm kind of like John, where I've got this collection in pots,
Yeah.
but I don't have
Right.
my exact space where I want them to go yet. So I'm just accumulating pots of plumerias, which
I started planning in my mind. So in my mind,
it's all done.
it's done, and I know how it's organized, and it looks great.
And it's so much easier to take care of.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Hey, Sherry points out that September 7th to 8th. September 7th,
that when
8th. So that's in a little more than a week, right?
Yeah, is that the Plumeria show?
Yeah, at Casa
Oh.
del Prado.
I have not been able to go to that yet. I've always
You know
had
what?
something.
You need to go.
I do, because
Yeah.
you went,
Yeah.
and I was so jealous of what you came back
Is
with.
it in room 101 like everything else?
Well, you know what?
It's a very famous room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but as I
for
recall,
gardening.
that one, it was in there, but also there were vendors outside.
outside?
They had a lot of booths, but she needs to go. Sherry says she needs to go because she only has 20,
And
so she needs more.
and you did say though, that is one of the places you need to go early, right? Because
Yeah,
didn't you say
if
they
you
sell
want
out?
different
They
things, yeah.
sell out. So
As a matter of fact, one I think you should get there, and it usually is Fantasia, which is the striped balloon.
ooh,
It's a purple and white stripes.
I'll write that down. So that's September. I got to look for that because I for
Is
sure
that a
will need
Saturday
to
and
go.
Sunday?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
I
think.
figure.
Let's see. Next Saturday is the 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
September 1st. So
And we got our big September 1st show coming up next week.
Yep.
when is Labor Day? Is Labor Day?
Monday.
Is it
A
really?
week from Monday.
That's
a week
pretty
from this
early.
Monday.
Wow.
Everything's early. They got
The
Halloween.
second.
They've got Halloween
Monday's
in stores.
on the 2nd. Labor Day's on the 2nd. Yeah. So the 7th and 8th.
Yeah. Is
Is
that
the-
Friday, Saturday? Or
Well,
Saturday?
7th and 8th is Saturday and Sunday
Saturday
Okay.
and Sunday.
of
Okay.
September. 6th, 7th, 6th is Friday. So I'll have to find out more information and yeah, definitely plan to go. We might have to cancel the show so I can go to
So
that.
you can go.
Yeah.
We do the show from there.
There we go.
Can we do that?
Yeah. We could.
You want to look into it?
I will.
We just need Wi-Fi. Good Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sure they have Wi-Fi there.
Yeah. I'll look into
There'd be
it.
no lack for people milling around. Hey, we got to take a break, our first break. When we return from the break, John's got the quote of the week, which I love. It's a quote about autumn. And I like the quote because we're getting into my favorite time of the year here in about a month or so. Next weekend, I think football kicks off, NFL. So
I was just thinking about how autumn is just not, it doesn't give it the credit that it should.
it doesn't. It kind of like it kind of bypasses right into fall, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. Thank you for joining us. Garden America on your weekend. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, taking a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Back after these messages. We have hot mics, which means we are back on the air after the break. Biz Talk Radio, thank you for joining us. Those on Facebook Live, questions, comments. We continue our tropical theme this week. No guest, but we are the guests. Tiger brought in some plumerias. We'll be talking about that. John's got the quote of the week. John Bagnasco.
Just went through my mind. I tell you, I only say half the things that are in there.
And we forgot for you to tell us what you were going to tell us during the break as well. It was a quick break.
Oh, but when you said hot mics, I was thinking, hot mics, hot mics.
Hot
Get
mics.
your hot mics here.
The old ballpark days.
Yeah. But like Mike's? Jersey Mike's? Mike and Ike's?
He just said hot mics, and it just triggered that memory. Anyway, the quote of the week is from George Eliot. And you've read a lot of stuff by her, right?
Georgia.
George.
Well, I call her Georgia because I have to differentiate between George and Georgia, male, female.
George Eliot was a woman,
Mhm.
and she wrote Silas Marner. But that was her pen name because back then it wasn't proper for women to write.
No, not proper for them to do a lot of things.
That didn't stop some of them. Anyway, we're only a month away from the vernal equinox. I'm sorry.
That's hard come on.
I misspoke because vernal is spring.
Right.
The autumnal equinox.
Autumna.
There you go. Anyway, she said, delicious autumn. My very soul is wedded to it. And if I were a bird, I would fly about the earth seeking the successive autumns.
And how long does autumn last usually? Like Tiger said, it's kind of a go-between.
Yeah.
It's not summer anymore.
I don't even.
It's not fall. It's not winter. It's autumn.
Does anybody even know what autumn is?
It's
like the
it's
time.
the autumnal equinox.
Yeah, but like.
But
It's halfway between summer and winter. So,
So is it
autumn
just one
goes.
day?
so what you're saying, it bridges the gap. You're a gap bridger,
Wasn't the Gap declaring bankruptcy?
I think.
The autumn will go from around it's like September 19th, 22nd, something like that. Goes from there all the way till December
What does?
22nd, autumn.
Did you understand that?
So that's fall.
Yeah.
It's fall and it's okay because winter usually December 22nd is
Yeah.
that usually okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go from the 19th or whatever of September all the way till 22nd.
So
till
what you're
December.
saying, if I understand you, and I think I do understand you, that
After all these years, you finally should.
that fall and autumn are one and the same.
Yes, exactly.
Why don't they just say that?
But don't confuse them with the dog days of summer.
I want to hear comments on Facebook about this.
Yeah.
Well, these are the
Is
dog
it kind of
days
like
of
is it kind
summer.
of like the metric system like we were talking about?
Oh my
Some people
gosh.
use autumn, some people use fall.
Yeah, exactly.
But just two different ways to say it.
I knew a girl in elementary school named Autumn.
I did too.
Yeah?
Yeah. In my
You know
class.
what? I didn't.
No.
Didn't you?
No,
Oh, it was,
Nobody in Michigan was
it
named
was
Autumn.
big back in the day.
no.
Really?
Uh,
we were
Autumn.
California.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like a West
Very
Coast.
It's
California.
very California thing.
How can I tell when I can pick my avocado, Veronica?
Ooh,
Let's answer
it's tough.
Veronica.
It's-
Avocados are very tough.
Well, and it's a gamble because avocados, don't ripen on the tree.
They ripen in that brown paper bag that you put with an apple.
And you don't want to pick them, like too early. So what you end up having to look at is size. So know the variety that you have, so you can start to see, is it up to the size that you want it to be? And then you pick a couple, you put them down on the counter, like Brian's saying, maybe put them in a paper bag, let them ripen. If they ripen well, other avocados will be ready to go.
Then you've got kind of a template of when.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you put them in that paper bag or you set them on your counter and they don't ripen well, and you picked it too early. So
Yeah, I think that's really simple because avocados can be picked when the oil content reaches a certain point, and you can't tell because they don't ripen on the tree, like you say, Tiger.
Yeah.
So all you do is pick one that you think is ready, set it on the counter, or put it in a paper bag, whatever you want, and it either rots because it wasn't ready, or it ripens. And once that one is ripe,
then you'll know
all the others are okay.
Right.
yeah.
So there you go.
I have 3 or 4 avocados I'm waiting to plant. Tiger's going to come set some irrigation up on a hill where they're going to go.
You come from a very prolific avocado area, though.
Yeah.
I do.
There was a grove not too far from you, right?
He's on a grove.
My property was a avocado
But
grove.
it extended beyond your property too, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beyond my property. Well, the neighbors had.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all avocados at one.
That whole area.
Right.
So you're going to set up his drip system for his very shallow root system, which is the avocado
But he's
tree.
got some really fun varieties of avocado too.
Ones we've never heard of, right? Ones you can't buy in the store.
Right. So
I
that's
don't know if
fun.
you never heard of them, but they've got. I think it was in the early 1900s. There were 1,200 varieties of avocado.
In the 1900s.
Early 1900s, and I think the avocado growers got together and set an industry standard, and they picked Haas and Fuerte. They said, these are avocados. This is what we're going to sell, things that look like this. And so the industry became standardized from that point on. But out of those 100 varieties, I mean, there were, or 1,200 varieties, there were all kinds of really unique avocados.
Now,
There's an avocado that weighs 5 pounds.
Being the history buff that you are, can we trace the roots of the avocado to, is it the Aztecs or the Incas? I think the Aztecs, right?
Well, the roots just need good drainage.
See, when he doesn't know the answer. You know what I'm talking about. In fact, the name avocado is derived, I think, from those civilizations, right? Give us the history of the avocado.
Like, I love how he just throws that on you, like you should know.
Well,
he knows.
I think you're thinking back to our time in Costa Rica where we heard this discussion.
No, I've known this way before that discussion.
See, I thought you were throwing me a curve because we were told where the word avocado came from.
Right, we were, yes.
Yes.
But I'm going back before that because I've always known this about the avocado.
Okay.
So are you going to expand on that for those?
Where's the avocado? Where does it come from? Like,
Where's the word come from?
Actually, the Aztecs, I believe.
And what does it mean?
I can't remember, but there's a name that's very similar.
I'll tell you off the air what it means.
No, you can tell us on the air. How come everything's off the air with him this morning?
Yeah, he's.
I'll tell you between the breaks and when we get
Exactly.
off the air.
What does avocado mean? I don't know. Was I there during this Costa Rica discussion?
And when he's not sure, see how he dances around it?
I don't understand.
I've always thought you ought to be in politics, John.
Was I not involved in this
You'd
conversation?
be a great politician. He's looking it up right now.
Cool.
Aren't you looking it up? I thought you were
No,
Googling
I'm
it.
reading comments. We back to fall versus autumn. Carla said that autumn's a prettier word.
It is.
Yeah.
Fall. Autumn.
Yeah. That's why you didn't have any girls in your class named Fall.
Oh. Can we say that on the air?
I think you can, but
Because family jewels. We've talked about the family jewels, the Asclepius.
Well, is it's a real word, right? Or name that you're looking at?
Yeah.
it comes from Awakatl or something like that, right?
It's hard for me to pronounce. It's Awakatl.
Right, where the name
Awakatl.
avocado
And
came
then
from.
do you know what Nahua, the Nahuatl word?
No.
I don't know. I don't know. You had said Aztecs, They're saying Nahuatl. I don't know if that's an Aztec
You know what? We have to take a quick
tribe.
break.
It was considered an aphrodisiac.
Let's keep our train of thought on this. Got to take a break for
I
Biz Talk
wonder
Radio.
why.
Amongst all the laughter, we'll be right back here on Garden America.
You can never have too much.
All right, here we are. We are back.
Never too much attention.
Never
Brian.
have too much attention. It must be fun to watch us during these short breaks on Facebook Live. What are those guys talking about? And once again, we did not hear from John that, something he was going to tell us, Tiger. Before the first break, John says, I'll tell you after the first break.
Yeah, and he didn't say.
Well,
yeah.
we
You have
forgot to
remind
ask
me
him.
what we were talking
Anyway,
about.
avocados and the history of the avocado, where it came from, the names. Tiger, I'm going to toss back to you because John confuses me.
So I can say it?
Sure.
Okay. So the ahuacatl, which is that Nahuatl word, it translates to testicle.
Okay.
So obviously, yeah, the shape and the look and the way that they hang from the tree, I can see why they named it. I just funny they considered it an aphrodisiac. Back in the day when what was it? Fruits that were shaped like certain organs
that's
were. Remember, I used to say
Yeah.
medical people used
You're
to be like,
talking about the doctrine of signatures.
yes,
Yeah.
where
So
if it was a heart-shaped fruit, that must affect your heart.
Exactly.
If it was a
Exactly.
liver-shaped fruit, it affects.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners know about that, but the doctrine of signatures, I think, started during medieval times. And the theory was that God placed a signature on plants so that they would be used if it was shaped like a certain part of the human body.
You would know how to treat it.
It
right?
would be used to treat that part of the human body.
Yeah, so it might have been.
Yeah, like walnuts. Walnuts look like brains.
Sure.
And were used to treat head diseases and things like that.
That's interesting. So yeah, avocado, but that is another tropical. And John, before we got off on this tangent about the name, all the varieties that are out there in the world, and there are some amazing, delicious varieties. And
Yeah.
I love avocado, so I love a Haas and I love
yeah.
a Fuerte. There's
Right.
nothing bad about those ones, but there are ones out there that are such better flavor than those.
One of the best ones is a variety called Queen, which is one that I got. But then there's more common of the rare varieties are Reed. Reed is excellent flavor, and Nabal, and there's another one. Oh, Gem. Gem is one of my favorites, and they're all large. Though I think the ones that taste the best are the Guatemalan varieties. Because they have high oil contents and kind of a nutty flavor.
Yeah.
But if you're in Florida, they like the West Indian varieties, which are a little more watery. But that's where you can get the 5-pound avocado.
Wasn't
Yeah, I was gonna
Columbus
say, but that's
actually
the
looking for the
bigger
West
ones.
Indies?
No, I think he was looking for a way to get to India.
I'm not. Well, he was way off then. if that's the case, he wasn't even close. Oh my gosh!
If the world is round, nobody's ever been there. Let's go this way. Eventually,
Wow.
we'll end up in India.
He's way off.
Hispaniola,
Hispaniola, right?
He gets more credit than he deserves.
Yeah.
Him and the Queen.
Veronica says, "Can you imagine how much guacamole you could get from a 5-pound
Oh,
avocado?"
it's amazing. I've been there. I've seen that because in Hawaii they grow them,
Yeah.
and they grow them
Everything's
the
big in
size
Hawaii.
of your
Yeah.
head. But you have to have so much lime and salt and other things to the guacamole,
Right.
to make it flavorful. Because, like John
Because
said, they're
when-
just very watery and
Right.
bland.
And people, I guess, who are raised on that,
It's
they
fine.
prefer it.
They
yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if John mentioned this when we were talking about one of the issues with avocados and the reason why they did away, besides trying to standardize it, was because the other ones, because we all know avocados are very fickle.
What about
They
shipping?
don't
Is that
they don't ship well.
Okay,
Right.
right.
And they would rot in the carton or they
Yes.
wouldn't stay on the shelf, or where Haas and Fuerte
And also packing. If you have a bunch of different sizes,
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's
to,
all convenience and how much more it would cost, and this is the most cost-effective because they ship well.
yeah.
But it's funny because then you go to like pears or plums, and there's all kinds of always unique varieties, and they just kept through them. But avocados, they just really streamlined them to what it was. But a lot of fun stuff out there. And in the tree size, because didn't you the tree size one, like as far as like the varieties you get, they're all different size trees too.
right.
So it's not just one, oh, they get up to 10 feet tall and then that's it.
Do all varieties have shallow root systems in avocados, or does it vary?
I think so. I think they're all
No, they all have shallow roots.
because they're all accustomed to that more
Yeah.
tropical rain,
Yeah.
Right.
constant.
There's no tap root.
Yeah. None of them had to live in areas where they had to really search
Well,
for
don't trip
water.
over your root system once they're established, John. That's my advice to you.
It's not a ficus tree out there.
Right.
Shout out to Rick in Agnes, Oregon.
Oh,
Rick's given us a few messages from Oregon, and I'm wondering, are you just visiting, Rick, or did you move back to Oregon? Because Rick was in Star, Idaho. And he originally started out here in Monrovia, remember?
I'm just following him around.
Right, state
Yeah.
to state.
Yeah.
Carla says that her husband's mad at her for not planting an avocado when they moved into their house 30 years ago.
Well, don't you think
Right.
being mad at somebody for 30 years?
That's,
Is
you
get
were thinking
over
the
it.
exact same thing I was.
That's a long time to be upset with
Is it-
somebody.
Yeah.
Isn't there
Especially for
it-
just not planting an avocado.
Yeah.
isn't there something like it's never too late to plant a tree or something like that?
Yeah.
Don't they say that?
The
Do it
tree you
today.
could have planted 10 years ago would be the tree that you're enjoying today.
Yeah, I think there's a quote that's something like the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can still do it. Avocados. are
And you know
great
what?
trees.
There's, I'm trying to think.
Well, Hassam's got. Read his comment after your thought,
Okay,
John.
I don't know who posted it now. It might have been Veronica, but somebody said they had a holiday avocado.
Ooh.
And I was going to mention to Carla that there's still time to put in a holiday avocado.
Yeah.
And they stay smaller. They don't get too big.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably looking at 2 years to start getting fruit, right?
Yeah. And good production too,
Yeah.
as far as quantity and size of fruit.
And they're called holiday avocados because they start ripening, I believe, Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
And they go from Labor Day all the way through, I'm trying to think now, is it Valentine's? Something like
Is it
that.
all the way? That's
That's
really?
a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to say more like Christmas, but
I thought December.
yeah, but I mean,
Well, it's not far from Christmas
no,
to
it's
Valentine's.
not. No, it is not. But I didn't think it was all the way through that time. It's fun when you get those winter fruits,
Right.
because usually you're not accustomed to
expect
getting
it.
things through that time of year. So it's what else is it? Is it the mandarins or kumquats that are also sometimes
Winter?
in the winter? I'm trying to think of.
Well, kumquats are used during the Chinese New Year's.
Right.
Yeah.
And isn't that in the winter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kumquats, when you see like that tree just covered with all those orange
Right.
fruit. Yeah.
I never liked kumquats. Do you guys like
I
them?
like them.
Um,
I do.
Until
I
I
like-
taste, because the common kumquat is Nagami.
Mm-hmm.
But I tasted Miwa, and Miwa I like. But Nagami was a little bit too sour.
Sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Miwa was sweet.
What
Little
about
bit
you? Are you a
bigger, too.
loquat guy? Could be.
A loquat? I like a loquat. I planted 2 loquats last
Did you?
month. Yeah. A friend of mine had them come up from seed, and she said, "Do you want these?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll plant them on the
Just gonna
hill."
feed them all to the chicken.
So I planted them. I like loquats. Hastam, our buddy in Pakistan, says that they have a Fuerte avocado in their nursery.
Oh, that's cool.
He said farmers are interested to grow it there
Uh-huh.
in Pakistan, and they have 2 mature plants on their farm. and they get a lot of fruit every year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He says personally he likes to have avocados in a salad. I mean, I don't even know if I'm interested in eating salad without avocados. If you're making it at home, don't
Yeah.
you always put avocados in your salad?
Well, if we have it.
Yeah.
I don't always have avocados.
But then you
You
don't
don't live
make
in
a
Fallbrook.
salad. You just wait till you get the avocados.
No, you know what? I
You eat
put a lot of
sa-
things in my salad.
When
You know what I put in my salad? Hard-boiled eggs,
Cheese.
sunflower seeds, avocados, and cherry-flavored pomegranate or dried. Is it pomegranates? No, cranberries.
cranberries,
Yeah,
I put
cherry flavored cranberries.
yeah, the dried.
What do
What
you
are the
mean?
I
cranberries?
put
called?
walnuts and pecans in my salad.
No, no,
Taking care of your brain.
no walnuts. Maybe pecan or no pecans either.
Yeah. No.
Almonds slivers.
Yeah, that'll work. You put too much
And
in
then
there. Pretty
what
soon yours
dressing?
isn't even a salad.
And what dressing do you
after
put
you're
on it
done with it?
then? A
Only
vinaigrette?
only oil and vinegar.
Only oil and vinegar.
Olive oil and vinegar.
Hey, it
Olive
is
oil and
break
wine
time.
vinegar.
Already break time for Biz Talk Radio to pay some bills and to honor our sponsors. The major sponsor of Garden America, Fertilome. Please support Fertilome. Great company. They keep us on the air. We're going to take a break. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. We are coming right back with more of your questions and comments here on Garden America.
So
All right. Oh, did you want to say something, John? I'm sorry.
Off the air.
Off the air? Is this on the air or off the air?
well, I was just going to mention that we thought we gave Veronica great advice on how to tell if her avocados are ripe. She has one, so she doesn't want to take a chance
No.
with it. No, she's going to wait a little bit.
Well, and then, I was going to say also, the other thing you do if you know the variety that you have, they do tell you the ripening period of time. So meaning, like oranges. We talked about this a lot with who's our guest? Anyways, oranges, they'll turn orange on a tree, but doesn't mean that they're ripe. And so
You talking about Ed Livo?
or Ed
Tom
or
Spellman?
no. He worked for Bayer.
Worked for Lance Walheim.
Lance Walheim.
And how, oranges, they'll turn orange on the tree, but that doesn't mean that they're ripe. They have to still, sit on that tree for a lot longer. And then they don't ripen off the tree. So you have to wait. And so, anyways, back to avocado. If you look at the variety of your avocado, it'll tell you, it's between, this time and this time to ripen. And if it's supposed to ripen, say, August through December, and it's August, it's not ripen yet. You got a couple months. You should wait before you try to pick that fruit.
And I would imagine to some degree weather would affect that as well. or
Oh, for
not?
sure.
Yeah.
But it'll give you a period of time when you can expect those fruit to ripen. And if you're at the early part of it, you can just wait.
Are you saying that there's a window of opportunity, and it's when you open that window that's critical?
Exactly.
Okay.
An interesting story about growing up in Michigan is that, and I think I've told this on the air before, but the oranges that came from California were sun-kissed. They were
Yeah.
totally orange. The ones that came from Florida were
Green.
greenish orange.
And they look unripe.
And
Yeah, of course they yeah.
They
Right.
don't look like they're ready to eat.
Right. But the, I don't know if it was done intentionally, but I kind of think it was, that the Florida citrus growers spread the rumor that the California oranges were dyed.
Right, so that they could
Yeah. Just so,
people would have
because
would
they said
eat Florida
oranges aren't
oranges.
really that color. This is
Yeah.
natural, not treated, not dyed.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. They look. I mean, it's all where you grow up, but when you
Wait, didn't we see those in Costa Rica too?
it was the same problem,
Yeah.
right? It's just too. What causes it?
I
Too
think
much
it was
water?
just too humid.
Too humid, right?
Yeah, and
They don't change the color of the skin and rind. So you go to the grocery store and you look at and it says oranges, and you're like, they put a bunch of unripened oranges in a bin out here and they're trying to sell them. This is ridiculous.
all right, Kevin says, Brian, if you're going to put cheese in your salad, that you also want to add strawberries, arugula, cucumber, carrots, pumpkin and sunflower seeds and pecans.
Ooh, my favorite salad right now is like an arugula with some salt, oil, vinegar.
But now, do
yeah.
you add lettuce to that
Oh
concoction?
yeah, lettuce.
Okay, making sure.
But that sounds like
Pretty soon, you can't find the lettuce.
Yeah.
I know it's
well,
down
that's
here
a salad.
someplace.
Well, that's a salad. It's just a mix.
you know what my least favorite lettuce is?
Iceberg,
No,
because there's no
romaine.
nutritional value in it.
Romaine. I
There's
never
no
eat,
nutritional value
never
in
eat
any of
romaine
them.
lettuce.
Yeah, I'm not a big
Why?
romaine guy.
I
Do you like
don't know.
spinach?
I don't like it.
How about spinach?
You know, I'll eat spinach, but I wouldn't ruin a salad with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I can put
I like-
spinach in
If
there.
I'm
a little
having
bit.
a sandwich, I'll put a little spinach on it, but not normally.
That is the best thing about growing your own spinach, lettuce, arugula is that you can just go out there and pick whatever you need,
Right.
Yeah.
rather than having it in your refrigerator just go bad after you use it once.
If you're growing your own lettuce, we talked before that the cheapest lettuce out there, lettuce seed,
Yeah,
is black-seeded Simpson, and I think that's one of the best tasting
Oh, yeah.
lettuces.
for sure.
My wife Shannon, for some reason now, you know how you buy the pre-mixed,
Salads.
Oh, like the bags.
the bags
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
cut up and
Mhm.
everything. She does not like radicchio.
Which one's radicchio's the purple, white, radish?
Yeah, they come in different colors.
I
but-
don't like that either.
Really? Yeah, she said don't buy any of them. A lot of the Italian mixes have that in there. And she just, I think she thinks it's bitter.
Yeah.
Well, she's putting her foot down, isn't she?
Yeah. She can't just pick it out, huh?
Yeah, fine if you don't want it.
She's not going to
Won't
tolerate
buy-
that, obviously.
Won't buy that. I remember that in Michigan that would grow wild, and actually not the radicchio, the chicory. And my grandmother would go early in the spring and pick it while it was still kind of tender. But I remember it really had a strong taste to it.
Speaking of growing wild, I took the kids on a hike last week.
Where'd you guys go?
We have canyons behind our
Oh,
house.
you're right there
So
then.
we were just out through our canyons.
Looking for
And
rattlesnakes under rocks?
Surprisingly, we did not find one rattlesnake. Thank goodness, but
Yeah.
I was expecting to see one or two.
I showed you guys the pictures of the one on my back porch, right?
Yes.
Yes, you took
Yeah.
a picture of
Yes.
it.
But so Tasia was walking through and she smelled something and then she grabbed it and she's like, "Dad, what is this?" And it was licorice. It smelled like licorice. And I was like, "Oh, that's the wild fennel."
Right.
Because that's what it smells like, licorice.
Right.
And she was so intrigued by that.
She was
that-
enamored.
Yeah.
Well,
Not amaranth, but yeah.
Right.
I don't know and was she enamored or just intrigued? Because those are two different things,
I think she was both.
really.
Anyway, so go ahead.
But she was just blown away by
Yeah.
a fennel smelling like licorice,
Right.
and then this wild fennel that grows all through the hills here in California, and it was just kind of fun, and that also attracts a lot of caterpillars. That wild fennel,
When kids get excited about anything, it's fun.
yeah,
It's, oh, you like that. That intrigues you. Yeah,
You know,
she was
something else
intrigued.
that gets misidentified when you mention growing wild. I think of driving up Highway 5. Is everybody talks about wild artichokes?
oh yeah,
And they're not artichokes; they're cardoons,
mm-hmm.
which are edible plants, but you have to know how to
Yeah. I was
eat
gonna say
them.
a little different than artichoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got just a very few minutes. Well, we could take a break.
Yeah,
We're close.
We could.
We could.
not.
I mean, we could take a break. This would be the last segment of Hour 1 for Biz Talk Radio. So if you can, any way to join us on Biz Talk Radio for hour number 2 after the news, we'd appreciate it. For the rest of us on Facebook Live, keep the questions, comments coming. We're going to take a short break, I should say, shorter for Facebook Live, a bit longer for Biz Talk Radio. As I mentioned, for Biz Talk Radio, news coming up. We come back at 6 minutes after. So stay with us. John has a lot more to say as we continue our Garden America show. So does Tiger. I'll contribute. This is Garden America. Welcome to your weekend. Garden America is back after the break, the news break on Biz Talk Radio. Much quicker on Facebook Live. Those that are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, if you want to take part every weekend live, go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show, and there we are on Facebook Live. Cameras, audio, and everything, and you can interact with us live.
It's so funny. Right now, when we're coming back, John's been commenting as you come back from the break, even though you warn us, like, hey, I'm going to come back from the break. And right now he was reading Rick's article, and when you were starting, I was expecting it, and I was like, I wonder if John does that on purpose.
You saw me look at him like, is he going to say something he shouldn't say?
Exactly.
Because I was going to cut his mic off. It's funny. He waits to the last minute.
He does.
You know what I'm thinking? No, not now, please. The mics are hot. We don't want to hear that. Anyway, so let's get back to our good buddy Rick, John, and a quick, well, those on Facebook Live can actually read it.
Yeah.
Well, he just mentioned we were asking if he had moved from Star to Agnes, and he said that he has property in Agnes.
Oh, so just spending some time?
Just spending some time there. And
that's nice.
Yeah, and he fishes for salmon and steelhead on his property. So
that's cool.
Yeah. He had moved from Monrovia to Grants Pass, Oregon, which is
and then to
kind of
Idaho.
Interesting because he had the same. My daughter Gina moved to Idaho, and going from California into a totally different growing climate.
Yeah, culture shock.
Yeah, but you get excited about things you couldn't grow here that you can in your new climate. You know, like peonies. She loves peonies and a lot of the flowering trees, which aren't that. Even though they might do okay in California, aren't that popular because they're deciduous trees and they bloom for a very short period. Well, when you've got a short summer, it seems like they're blooming a long time.
Yeah.
But if they're blooming for 2 weeks in California, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, things just speed up so much, you know, as far as like we talk about even the changing of the leaves. We were talking about autumn earlier. In California, it goes from summer to winter. So there's not that time frame of this changing of the foliage. It just goes from it had leaves, and now that it just looks like it's sick and about to die, but it's going dormant.
Except if you drive through that one part of 163 going into downtown.
That is pretty with the sycamores. And
that's like one of the rare areas where you could be back east or someplace other than San Diego.
Yeah.
I think it was an old Bugs Bunny cartoon that I forget what they were talking about. It was, about what kind of tree it was or something, and the quote was, "Looks more like a sycamore to me." Do you remember that?
Sycamore.
Kind of.
More like a sycamore.
Yeah.
Was that a Bugs quote?
I can't remember.
Hey, to answer Kevin's question, yes, we are doing a show next week for Labor Day.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm excited because we'll be talking to Tatiana, one of our friends from Florida.
Right.
And when we were in Costa Rica, we saw a lot of shrubs and trees that are herbs, spices, just some of that tropical kind of different plants. And we're going to be talking, so not just about like, fruit trees or, edible, perennials or annuals, but actual like cinnamon or allspice or pepper.
I had a cinnamon tree at my old house.
Yeah. So it's fun because people don't think you can grow some of those things, and they do pretty well.
Cinnamon.
Well, some people are right to think that.
Yes, true. They don't.
Those are tropicals that need frost-free areas.
Cinnamon's good for you in a few ways.
Who was it? Was it Tommy James?
And the Shondells? No, you're thinking of cinnamon.
Yeah.
Let me in. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
Who was that?
Open up cinnamon. I want more.
Right.
I don't think they're talking about the spice.
I think
Cinnamon
you're right.
spice.
Oh, I want to live in a cinnamon. That was Neil Young.
Yeah.
But you're
Cinnamon
thinking
Girl.
of John somebody in his Playboy band, I think. Fred Lewis or Fred somebody in his Playboy band, I think.
Oh, that was Gary Lewis.
No.
Gary Lewis.
Huey Lewis.
No, go. Stop. You're way off track. No, it's not.
It was
Ralph.
Gary Lewis in the Playboys.
Ralph
No, but this was
Lewis.
somebody else's. It was somebody in his Playboy band. But you're right about Gary Lewis.
Right. He was the one that had the ring that wouldn't shine anymore.
This diamond ring.
Right.
He had a lot of other ones too. If I played him for you, you would go, "Oh, was that him?"
Yeah.
Cinnamon Girl. Yeah, that's right. That was Neil Young.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But then there was another cinnamon too. Can you
Our
spell
good
cinnamon?
buddy Keith Zeri. Remember Keith and Debbie Zeri?
Oh.
Debbie would be on the show,
Right.
usually during football season.
She was a big New York Giants fan.
Right. But he had a miniature rose called Cinnamon Girl.
Oh. Speckled red. What was it?
It was kind of a tan colored rose.
Okay.
Really pretty. I used to
Whenever
have
I
it.
think
They
of
don't
cinnamon
anymore.
colored flowers, I think of like a speckled red and white. I don't know why.
Is it supposed to be good for your blood pressure, cinnamon?
You're thinking of Red Hots, maybe.
True.
Mike and Ike's. Good and plenty.
Yeah. Oh, those are disgusting.
Good and plenty are plenty good.
No, they're not. Horrible licorice, black licorice.
If you need to
I'm
have,
not a black licorice
No
guy
way.
at all.
Gives me a headache.
Oh, my-
Really?
Oh, boy, I can't. Nope.
see, I'm not red licorice.
I'll do the red licorice.
I like
the
black-
red vines.
black
Yeah.
licorice. Black
Will you
lic-
do a Twizzler though? I don't even know. Who knows what that is?
They're red, right?
Yeah, they're red. They're supposed to be licorice.
Can
but
you
it's
taste
not.
licorice right now? Black licorice?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't had any. Good and plenty were good if you needed to have a filling replaced. You could have it taken out before you by chewing those before you went to the dentist.
No, there was some worse than that, though, wasn't there? Old theater candy like that?
Uh,
Like a black cow?
That was a
Do you remember Holloway
taffy
suckers?
chocolate thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They were originally called slowpokes, is what they were called later, right?
Right.
But prior to that, I think they were called Holloway suckers.
That could be a Michigan thing
Really?
or a
Yeah.
back east Midwest thing. Yeah, because I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah, that's what they were originally called, at least in Michigan, was Holloway suckers.
Did I finish my thought on Tatiana and our guest for next week?
You talked
Yeah,
about
we
we're
talked-
going to
so-
deviate from the norm and
Yeah.
then talk about spices, cinnamon,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
So I want to make sure I finish up that thought.
So
I
that's a
didn't leave
good
anything
tease for
in.
next week before the newsletter comes out. That's
Yeah.
what we're going to be talking about.
Well, the exciting thing to me about that is that almost anything that we talk about, you can order
Yes.
from Tatiana. And
Yes.
a lot of nurseries in Florida cannot ship to California, but her stuff is all, virtually all her everything she has in inventory can be shipped to California.
Whereabouts in Florida is she?
She is outside of Fort Myers.
Okay.
Yeah. I visited her over there. She had some interesting plants growing on the property, too.
Yeah. Unique garden center, unique nursery.
So next week,
Oh.
Tatiana, right here on Garden America.
Carla's got the best
Cinnamon quote.
the best way for removing
Jujubes.
yes, jujubes.
I think that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep. Yeah.
So tacky.
Now, the tree,
Jujube.
yeah, is jujubes were the candy. Is it jujube that's the tree?
The
Are
jujube
they-
tree?
The
Yeah.
jujube.
Is that pronounced differently?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it would because I don't know if you would pronounce it jujube tree. Jujube.
Jujube
Sounds like
for the
it
tree,
would mean.
but jujubes were the candy.
Yeah.
I think spelled it the exact same way.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Ziziphus is the scientific name, right? But the
Yes.
species is jujube, right? Ziziphus jujube. Also called
Say that again.
Is that a candy also?
Sisyphus jujube?
Sisyphus?
yeah, Ziziphus, and there.
I'll forget that the minute I walk out the door.
That reminds me of those
It could be
bottle cap
Sisyphus
candies.
or something.
Sisyphus.
Is it like that road in the East County, Zizix?
Sisyphus, yeah.
Oh, that's way
It's-
east.
It's a town, right?
SSIYZZ or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
Zizix.
Yeah.
Somebody did a short little feature on that, the history, and
I would
Yeah.
think
the
that would
name.
be a sleepy town.
You think, right?
It's like snoring, right? Zzz. What were we just talking? Oh, Chinese dates is the common name for
Jujube.
jujubes, and there's a lot of breeding that's gone on, and there's a lot of different types of them right now. I mean, you could choose from probably 15 different varieties. Lang and Lee used to be the two common ones, but now they've got like sugar and all different kinds.
Sure that wasn't a law firm?
What?
Lang and Lee and
Lang
Sugar.
and Lee, attorneys at law.
Sugar Lang and Lee.
Sugar, Lang and Lee.
We got to take a break here on Garden America. Yes, thank you for tuning in on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Questions, comments, getting involved on Facebook here with your friends on Garden America. Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages because Biz Talk Radio keeps us on the air nationally. Back after these messages. All righty, we are back. John was quiet.
Yeah,
I
he
waited
looked straight
for that
at him.
moment. 1, 2, 3 more segments for this edition of Garden America.
I did a one Christmas for the kids. You know, we used to do stockings every year. One Christmas, I went retro and got all the old candies.
Oh, that's clever.
yeah.
Fun.
And I was surprised that the kids hated almost everything.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
What did you get him, though?
I mean,
Let's
like
see.
Milk Duds, which is old but still contemporary.
Oh, I had
delicious.
things like Zagnut bars,
Okay.
Clark bars.
Okay. All right.
I'll eat a Clark bar.
Yeah.
I don't know. What
How about
Zagnut
O. Henry?
bar is.
Which is like a Baby Ruth bar, actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
like
know
O.
if
Henry.
O. Henry was in there. I had Blackjacks.
What about
Do you
those little
remember
like
Blackjacks?
Neckos or Nikos?
Oh,
Neckos
those just
were
taste
in
like
there.
chalk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Those taste like those like calcium
Yes,
antacid or
antacid.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little wafers.
Yeah.
I think when we were little, we used to pretend we were going to communion with those. That and the fish food.
What fish food?
You used to feed your goldfish. They'd come in a little box. Do you remember that? It was
Oh, a
like
little wafer.
a matchbox.
Yeah.
And there were little
Yeah.
flakes in there.
You used to eat that?
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Those little flakes?
There were a lot of things we ate back then. That,
See, I mentioned
disgusting
Black
now.
Cow. Kevin says he lost a filling and cracked his tooth eating a Black Cow candy bar.
yeah.
You know, these days you could sue somebody for that, Kevin.
Nobody's mentioned whether or not Holloway Suckers was the name for those.
Holloway.
Holloway. Hollow. Like sleepy.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the TV series Sleepy Hollow?
No.
It was very interesting.
Headless Horseman?
Yeah, yeah. It. Did you watch it, Tiger? The main character in there, Ichabod Crane,
Yeah.
was in the Revolutionary War, and he comes back to life because he had some spell cast on him in the village of Sleepy Hollow, and they end up fighting the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Hey, we gotta go back. We're missing a few questions here.
All right.
Veronica, a hedge question from earlier, and then Rick wants to know about getting ready for fall and winter gardening. So I'll trust you, John, to scroll back up.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant we were taking a break.
What? No, we've kind of got off track. I want to make sure we're answering. Veronica had a question from earlier, a hedge question, and then Rick wants to know about getting ready for fall and winter planting.
Marilyn hopes that she's not going off our script, but she wants to know what can kill the worm that's eating her geranium plants, the budworms.
Spinosad?
Yep. Anything that has spinosad in it or
Garlic based, right? Spinosad? Is there garlic in that?
no garlic.
There's
at all.
not at all in spinosad?
No. Spinosad is a chemical derived from a bacteria that, remember, it was discovered in a rum factory. And they found out that there were no flies around this one pile of decomposing sugarcane. And they discovered a bacteria in there, the spinosad bacteria, and that it had insecticidal properties. So spinosad is similar to, it is an organic chemical that you can use, and that'll take care of any chewing insects. Will not take care of sucking insects. So,
How do they know the difference?
well, the difference is that the sucking insects don't chew on the spinosad because you spray it on the leaf, and chewing insects eat it, and they're dead.
Right. But
The
they don't-
sucking insects poke poke their proboscis right into the
Easy.
leaf, and they slurp up what's inside.
I can't go
Okay,
back.
can you
to
see
old
Veronica's hedge
comments.
question?
I
Okay,
can't
you know what?
see it.
Let's do this. And our apologies. Anybody that asked a question before, go ahead and ask it again on Facebook on the comments section so we can bring ourselves up to date. So just go ahead and repost your question if we failed to answer it
Or
earlier.
my hedge question.
Kevin mentioned that they just got their first batch of potatoes in their backyard. They grew them in a half barrel.
That's weird because you think Idaho, you don't think potatoes. That's interesting.
It's weird. It's like, why would you have them in Russia?
Potatoes in Russia?
Isn't that where they grow potatoes? Russia too?
I don't know. The potato famine was in Ireland.
Yeah.
Because vodka, right?
I found Veronica's old question. So she says that she needs suggestions for plants a plant that would be leafy, grow vertical to provide screening, and my neighbor across the alleyway built an adult in his yard.
Built an adult?
Uh-oh.
I wonder if she means ADU. Anyway, she says his property's 10 feet above hers, and she doesn't have privacy in her backyard.
You left out one thing, and grows quickly.
Yeah.
And then stops when it gets
Yeah,
to a certain
right.
height. So leafy,
Leafy chewing.
No. What?
I'm
Is she
on-
looking for recommendations or
Yeah.
we're switching?
Yeah.
no, recommendation.
So, I mean, it's got to go at least 10 feet, probably more in the 18 range. So, there's Podocarpus, there's Ficus, Nitita,
Yeah, Ficus nitida.
Dodonea, purple hop seed if you wanted to change it. And those ones
And
grow
you
a
want
little
something
wider.
drought tolerant.
Yeah.
The Prunus carolina.
Well, that's kind of nice and neat.
Yeah. And if you want something pest and disease ridden, you can do Eugenia.
If you don't care about pests, right?
If you don't care about, but they don't affect the hedge, meaning like it's
Just
still
make it
gross.
look ugly.
Yeah, it just makes it look ugly.
I think
Eugenia.
Carolina cherry might be the best
Yeah,
for her situation. I would look into that.
yeah.
Texas privet, that's
Too short.
too short.
Yeah. So,
So, Veronica, we say check into Carolina cherries.
somebody Lenore asks, is a grasshopper a chewing insect? Yes.
It is a chewing
is.
insect.
So if you're trying to treat for grasshoppers, Spinosid would be another option. But the problem with grasshoppers, they come and go. So you can treat and then
Well,
and
the
then they
thing
come
is,
back.
The problem with grasshoppers is that if they eat enough of the leaves covered with spinosad, it will kill them. But the thing is, they eat a lot. They're
Yeah.
big insects,
Yeah.
so you're still going to have the damage even if you get rid of that grasshopper.
and like I say, like you'll go and be like, oh, a grasshopper ate my whatever it is, and
Yeah.
then you'll spray it. That grasshopper's
He
not
left
coming
2 days
back.
ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So-
found that the best cure for not cure, but the best way to seek revenge on a grasshopper is with pruning shears.
And feed it to the chicken.
Well, you could, but if you sneak up behind them with pruning shears and you just cut them in half,
Oh,
it makes you feel a little.
You hold
better.
a lot of garden grudges, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah, they're one that.
Hey,
I don't spray in my yard at all, so everything's kind of under control. But
he walks around with his cigar so he can kill his aphis.
Yes.
are you talking about that quote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Hey, speaking of the newsletter, Rick wants to know who
yeah.
the
top picture
lady
of the
is.
newsletter. Who is the lady in the top picture of the newsletter?
Was there a lady in the top picture of the newsletter? I don't know. Let me
You
go.
did it.
Let me go look at the newsletter and see.
Hey, I think you should have an advice column in the newsletter. You could be kind of the Ann Landers of the Garden America newsletter.
Isn't that kind of what
Like-
the whole newsletter is?
Hey,
Is advice?
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I was going to say, isn't that generally what it is? But
Well, I'm looking at the newsletter now, and at on the phone, the top
it's me.
picture's you. There's like 3 good-looking guys, and then no woman there.
Oh, maybe in the banner on
It's
the very,
very
top.
top, I think.
Very top banner. that lady.
Oh,
It's just a stock photo.
that's Cecilia Armstrong.
Is it really? Or
No, I have
Boy,
no
you know
idea.
what? That's a great answer to anything, anybody. Who's that woman? And that's who's going to argue
Cecilia
that?
Armstrong.
Oh, is it really? I always wonder what she looked like.
Yeah, no, it was a stock photo,
Right.
and we've used that
So-
photo for
20
Every
years.
newsletter.
yeah
for
every other newsletter.
every other. Yeah.
Because we used the one with the dad and the little girl
And the
or
little girl.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Would spinosad kill caterpillars like monarchs? Yes, it would. Any chewing insect. So if you
Right.
applied your spinosad to your Asclepius, it would definitely keep the monarch caterpillars from eating your Asclepius.
Yeah, you don't want to spray Asclepius with anything.
No.
And you almost always will have aphids on it, right?
Yeah, and having caterpillars is a good sign.
Okay, now let me. Since I was
but-
wrong about the, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But real quick, I do want to mention though that monarchs only eat Asclepius. So if you're trying to keep other like there's that cabbage moth and sulfur butterfly that eat a lot of other plants, and if you're trying to protect those, I don't think you're going to have any problems because monarchs only eat Asclepius.
We're 2 minutes over.
Oh my goodness,
I have a lot of editing to do on Monday for this segment.
failed.
So we're going to take a quick break. 2 more segments coming up here as we join our friends on Biz Talk Radio, I should say, and of course those on Facebook Live. Stay with us here on Garden America. All right, just like that, we are back on Facebook Live. Thank you for those that tune in on Biz Talk Radio. This is hour number 2. We have this segment and one more after this as we continue our weekend. A couple of things on spinosad, since I was wrong about the garlic. You want to spray early morning, late evening for the bees with spinosad to avoid.
It's an oil-based spray
Right.
too, so if you spray it in the middle hot part of the day, you're going to burn your foliage.
Right.
As
the
far
bee-
as
the
the
bee
bees
situation,
go,
right?
The bees go, like when they're moving around.
No, I don't think.
I don't think it affects.
No,
the
you're
bees.
thinking-
What product am I thinking of?
You're thinking of the Bayer product.
Yeah.
Okay, is that
The-
garlic-based as well?
No.
No, there was a garlic-based product.
Yeah,
that we
back
talked
in the day, that was
What was that?
Enviropel.
yeah, exactly.
Was that Envirapel? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a long time. That was our buddy Tony Urin.
Why don't you? And what do you have against Envirapel? Why are you so strongly against it?
I'm not against it. It's not made anymore.
Well, during the break, you said something about Envirapel. I thought. Okay, here's my last question on spinosad.
Okay.
Okay, I'm 0 for 2. Spray every 10 days.
Yeah.
Why?
You know, there's a lot about reality that you don't remember.
No, they do apply. They do tell you on the bottle to spray once every like 2 weeks,
Okay.
and do not spray more than like twice in 6 weeks or something like that. But
Remember, the label is the law, John. I think that's what we're getting at here.
I knew you had a point somewhere. By the way, some people were, Tiger, you were saying you didn't like those Necco wafers, right?
no,
But Tanya
good.
points out that they're great for making roofs on gingerbread houses.
oh yeah,
You know, I was going to mention this too, and Carla, when we were talking about jujubes, Carla mentioned that you can buy the fruit in Escondido, and it's this time of year, and people drive down, and I'm trying to think what nationality they are mainly. They're Asians for sure, but I think maybe Koreans. They make a pilgrimage almost from Orange County down to Escondido because there's the jujube farm,
yeah.
and that's one of the very few places I know that sells them.
You know, and speaking of that, this is an excellent time of year to attend farmers markets because so much stuff is coming into the ripening phase, and farmers markets are where you're going to get that neat or different. Like that's the place you're going to go, and you're going to see the 8 varieties of avocado, or the different unique fruit like John's mentioning, because you're not going to see those pop up in the grocery store or common use. But a farmer's market's going to have a rare fruit tree farm there, and they're going to have some neat stuff. So it's definitely a good time of year to start hitting up your local farmer's
Do you
market.
ever, when you leave our show, I know sometimes you go right home. Do you ever go hit the freeway south on the 15
No.
and go down this little side road next to Fry's?
Oh, where they sell the avocados and oranges?
Yeah, there's a little fruit stand guy
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I've never bought from him, but I
Yeah.
see him there about every week.
Yeah, avocados, oranges. Trying to think of what else I've seen there. Strawberries. Yeah, good stuff. But this is the time of year when all that stuff is going to start to hit your local farmers markets or your local like markets. Sometimes the small markets will bring in some of the unique fruit as well.
John wants to know if spinosad is good for chewing insects. Why is it added to Sluggo? I don't think it's in Sluggo, is it?
It is.
In
It
Sluggo
is.
Plus?
It's in Sluggo Plus.
So I guess
Yes.
So why is
that's
it
his
in
question. Yeah.
It's because so Sluggo, the granular product, you put on the ground
Right.
for slugs and snails, and then the spinosad aspect of it also helps with some crawling insects. I believe it's listed on there for like pill bugs,
Earwigs?
earwigs. I think they might have even said ants. I can't remember. But there's a whole series of crawling insects that now gets controlled by that as well. So it's not like, oh, we're gonna put our Sluggo on our foliage to solve the caterpillar
Okay.
problem.
Right.
But
So on those granules that would have the spinosad in them, the crawling insects are attracted to and actually eat the granule, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So that's why it would kill them because
Yeah.
they're chewing
Yeah.
right on it.
Yeah.
So if that answer is correct, Tiger gets the credit. And if it's incorrect,
Yeah.
I'm just believing him. I think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So the spinosad doesn't kill the snails, though. The
No.
iron phosphate, is it? That's in Sluggo?
Yes.
Iron. It's an iron product. I think it's iron phosphate,
I think so.
which is actually good for plants, right?
Yeah, you always comment on the Sluggo, and just so the Fertilome product for slug and snails is basically Sluggo Plus,
Oh,
so it's the same product from
do you know
Fertilome.
what that one's called?
Slug and snail killer.
Slug and snail killer?
Yeah, but they just label it as that, and it's the same as Sluggo Plus, and the other products. The metaldehyde
Mhm.
products that are like, what were the Corey's?
Corey's.
Yeah.
Corey's brand and
Corky's is a pest control
Yeah.
company.
those ones, yeah, those were kind of bad stuff for the soil, but the iron phosphate helps with your slug and snails, and it's not bad for the soil.
Well, speaking of that, Rick says since he's moved to Idaho, he does not recall seeing any snails or slugs.
Really?
Is it a temperature thing? What's going on?
Yeah, they freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Usually you don't see slugs anyway because they only come out at night. And slugs are hardier, and you can sometimes find them underneath, patio stones or bricks or things like that. But it's too cold for snails up there, I believe.
No, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, in those really cold climates, there's
Right.
some insects that just don't
Yeah.
survive, and then they don't
When I
come
lived
back.
in Michigan, there were no snails.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
exactly, and that's the natural cycle of pest control. That's why in California we have such a problem, and that's why our ag department is also fighting for pests coming in. Is because, I have a funny story, but
Because we have enough to fight to begin with.
yeah,
Having more come in.
and there's no natural reset button, meaning
Right.
like an aphid. Like normally in the wintertime, you would have no aphids. It goes too cold and whatever. Well, in California, you can have aphids on your plants
Year round.
12 months out of the year because they're never really, sometimes it doesn't get that cold. So I was trimming a eucalyptus. I planted this bush eucalyptus that grows like silver dollar eucalyptus foliage on it, real pretty in my yard. And I was trimming it. And I'm trying to think of the name. John, I think you mentioned it. It's a natural predator of eucalyptus that's from Australia. I know you've said the name of this bug before. No.
You didn't remember.
But anyways, it's this little beetle bug. And I was trimming my eucalyptus, and I saw these little beetles fall down on the ground. I'm like, oh, man. So I identified it. They've only been here in California since 2022.
Those little beetles
Those
that
little
fell off?
beetles have only been, like, they've only found them in California since 2022. And I'm like, I already have them on my eucalyptus. That's how fast I mean, they've only noticed these bugs come 3 years ago.
Well, that's when they noticed them.
Yeah.
So
Well,
usually they've been here before you notice them.
Well,
they've
but-
already been here.
I mean,
Yeah.
but they're a natural predator of the eucalyptus. In Australia, it's a big problem, but for us, we didn't have them up until about 3 or 4 years ago. And now they're already in my backyard. So. Yeah.
So they're a pest to the eucalyptus.
Yes.
Not a predator, right?
Pest.
Yeah. A predator we usually think of as insects that eat other insects.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we first started the show, Brian, that we always used to talk about eucalyptus having no natural
Enemies.
pests in California because all eucalyptus were grown from seed, and so nothing ever came over.
Well, that ship sailed.
Yeah. But then we had so many eucalyptus that once an insect did get imported, however it got here,
Mhm.
I mean, they just had a smorgasbord, no predators.
Haven't you said that name, Chrysopterus or something before?
I don't think I could say it now.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, I thought you told me that name before.
It sounds.
Yeah.
It's started to sound familiar.
Chrysoptarda.
You were thinking of chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum, yes.
Or I was thinking of Mothra from Godzilla. I don't know.
Mothra.
But yeah, so we were talking about pests in California, and that's how fast things could move because we just don't
Yes.
have
Yeah.
the weather control to be able to really control bugs here. They just thrive.
All right, break time. One more segment, guys. That's how quickly this show is flown by. So, of course, do stay with us for the. You're going to want to stay to the end, and you're going to want to hear what John has to say here on Garden America. Final segment coming up. Those on Biz Talk Radio, those tuned in on Facebook Live. Back after these messages. Okay, as previously mentioned, we are back with our final segment here on Garden America. Happy weekend. Next weekend we will be here. Tatiana will be our guest as we continue our discussion on tropicals. Special Labor Day show here on Garden America next weekend.
Yeah.
Special.
Special.
Tanya points something out here, and it's something that I've been wondering about, and I don't know the answer. But she says that ever since she's had lizards, and the population increasing,
And no snails?
she said that, she doesn't see the snails very much anymore, and she wonders if they eat the eggs.
You know what? I haven't seen snails in about a year either.
And you've got
Or
tons
two.
of snails. And
And we have lizards everywhere.
Well, I have lizards everywhere, and I have thousands of snails.
I have
thousands, tens
Interesting-
of thousands of snails.
Interesting
But,
she would say that.
well, this is what's interesting to me is that as summer's been coming along, the areas I water, I still find snails and I throw them out. But I've been coming across dozens and dozens of empty snail shells. And I was wondering if, maybe a bird was eating
You know what
them
those are?
or
They're
what
slug
was going
suckers.
on.
They're slug suckers.
Well, I'm wondering if like Tanya says, are the lizards eating the snails? I mean, they're empty, so something went in there and pulled them
But
out.
after she mentioned that, I thought to myself, too, when's the last time I saw a snail? And we had snails, a pretty good population over the years, but not in the last year or two.
Well, come over to my house next weekend, or I can bring them in and
Just
show
put
them
them
to
in a
you
bag and
if
bring
you
them
want
in.
to see them. All right.
Yeah, interesting.
Carla says less crickets too. I have so many lizards around my house. I
So
just
many.
can't believe it.
Tons.
Yeah.
And really cool looking ones. The normal alligator lizard, the
Yeah.
ones with the little blue stripe
Common.
on them, all kinds of fun stuff.
Somebody had mentioned earlier maybe it was Tanya earlier in the show that when she lived in El Cajon, she used to see a lot of horned
Really?
lizards, horned
Oh,
toads.
You
that's
mean those horned
fun.
toads?
Yeah.
We were kids, we called them horny toads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're horned, horned toads.
And they're not toads, they're lizards.
Lizard. They look very prehistoric, too.
Yeah.
Did you used to have one in an aquarium?
No. You know what I had? what did I have that I had to buy worms for?
You had a chameleon,
We
didn't you?
we had a my
Dragon.
son
What
and
is
I,
it? Something dragon.
but I had to actually send away for these live worms that they would send us,
Mm.
and then I had to take care of the worms to keep them
To
alive.
keep them alive.
to
be
feed the
able to
lizard.
feed to the lizard.
And I thought, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, John. That goes back about 15 years.
Yeah.
It's the same time you gave me the pitcher plants that I overfed.
Veronica says, and I have the same question as Veronica because I wasn't quite sure what you were talking about with your chrysanthemum bugs. But she says, so are you saying there's a natural predator for those eucalyptus beetles?
Not a natural predator for the beetles,
Okay.
but the eucalyptus are pests, as you mentioned.
Okay.
To the
So you were just saying that they're brand new pests that's everywhere now.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, brand new pest. Yes. So they will eat the eucalyptus.
And then John points out that there's a new pest that came from South America that's made its way up and is attacking Brazilian pepper trees.
That doesn't sound bad.
He said the tree, if you've got a tree in your yard and it starts dying from the top down, it's that new pest. He said it doesn't seem to be bothering California peppers, but I'm not sure why that would be because California peppers are from Brazil.
Yeah.
So let's see what else here.
I wonder if it's got to be, if it's going in from the top down, it's got to be some kind of almost like boar or beetle, I feel. Because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's weird. Because that's like the palms, from the top down. That's a boar or
Yeah.
beetle. Oh, also, a beetle.
Tanya's giving you a yay,
For what?
but because she likes the idea that something's killing the pepper tree. Her neighbor planted one right on their property.
Oh, good.
Right next to the property. It's tearing up her sidewalk.
Oh,
Everything.
my
The
gosh.
plants underneath it aren't growing.
Yeah. Just everything. Yeah.
She also mentions that rats eat snails
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
leave the shells empty. Now, I never thought of that, and that does not give me a good feeling to know that I've got rats around the place now.
You have a ton
Oh,
of
there's rats
around
everywhere.
here.
You walk outside this
Yeah.
door, there's a rat within 12 feet.
Yeah, you live
I
on
never
a
saw a rat.
canyon.
I know, but I never saw a rat there.
Yeah,
I've seen
they're-
mice.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
everywhere.
never seen one.
There's because they don't need to come up to your house very much because they got enough food all around them.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a chicken coop, you've got rats for sure. Because
Yeah.
they love that stuff.
And I mentioned we have the one rat that visits us. He visits us twice a day.
Yeah, ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
Rick mentions that we might have done a show a few years ago about vegetables that came from the New World and how they evolved after the explorers brought them back to Europe.
Yeah, I remember.
And
It was when we were on
he
our,
says, as an example, that tomatoes come from South America. And they did. And I think we may have been talking about the breeding going on with tomatoes back then and how there's still a lot of species in Peru and areas like that.
Speaking of explorers, your favorite explorer is Magellan, right? I'm
You
a
know-
DeSoto guy. I was big on DeSoto.
But Magellan was more into the circumnavigation.
Mm-hmm. You've always been big into that as well, which is, thus the reason you liked him.
John was into the square navigation, not the circle.
We have a minute to go, and then we have to
Yeah.
say adios, goodbye.
Didn't Magellan not make it around? Didn't he die
he
on that
ran
trip?
into some rough times. How about the Drake Passage? Sir Francis Drake, between the tip of South America and Antarctica, the most dangerous ocean passage in the world.
That's called the Drake Passage.
Absolutely.
What was the one up in the Northwest Passage? What about that?
Oh, boy. Tough times. Hey, we have to say goodbye. Time is of the essence. We are running out of time. Thank you for joining us again. We will be back next week. Tatiana, our guest, talking about tropicals, but as Tiger mentioned, going to deviate just a little bit there, so it'll be a show you won't want to miss. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, And yes, DeSoto is a car, Veronica. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a safe weekend. We'll do it again next week right here on Garden America. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. We'll see you then.